Hello, I'm Kara Hart with Checkoff Chats, a content partnership with the United Soybean Board on Brownfield. Joining us, we have Lawrence Sukalski from Minnesota, United Soybean Board Director and the Infrastructure and Connectivity Priority Area Coordinator. Lawrence, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about building demand for U.S. soybeans. Tell me, how does the U.S. soybean industry keep up with the growing demand for soybeans?
Well, first of all, it's a really good problem to have, growing demand. So we're a lot of innovation. People are planting more soybeans than they'd had in previous years. We are investing in infrastructure to get the beans delivered in a good, timely fashion. And,
And we've talked a little bit about versatility in soybeans. How would you say a soybean might be versatile?
They're in just about everything. Paints and oils and surfactants. We're using them in tires. We're using them in roof coating, sealants for highways, just many, many things.
So what about demand for soybean oil and meal? Anything there that we should know about for demand?
Well, yes, we've been crushing more beans, of course, and that leads to more oil. And we've been using that for more biodiesel and renewable diesel. And sooner or later, we're going to get into the sustainable aviation fuel. And of course, meal, we had record exports last year. I think exports were up about 6%. So we're finding a place for the meal and the oil.
If we were to take a look at a soybean today, and we were to look at what parts of it were meal and what parts were oil, how would you describe that to me?
Well, about 20% of a bushel of soybeans is oil. So about 12 pounds of oil per bushel of soybeans.
Okay.
And the rest would be meal.
Okay, so an 80-20 kind of breakdown then.
Pretty close, yeah.
That's great. What are some of the other main uses for soybeans?
Well, obviously, livestock feed is the biggest one, poultry and pork on the meal side. But on the oil side, there's all kinds of things. We're using things for coating the roads to make them last longer, shingles, just everything, Goodyear tires. We're making a lot of things. Several years ago, Minnesota Soybean made a shirt with all the uses, and I mean, it was covered in the front and the back with everything that could be used.
That's really cool. It sounds like you're really proud of the soybeans that you raise.
Oh, definitely. Yep, they're in everything. Yep.
What changes have happened in soybean production over the years?
Well, I remember my dad telling me that Grandpa tried them. He was one of the first pioneers that tried soybeans in southern Minnesota. And of course now, you know, it's almost as many soybeans planted as corn.
That's a lot of soybeans.
It is, and we're going to need more. We'll need more and more as sustainable aviation fuel kicks off. And they're stumbling blocks, but one of them is they want everything in place so they're not going to run out of the product once they start making it. So as these crushers keep on crushing more, we'll have more available oil for that wish that we'll have plenty of soybean oil for the sustainable aviation fuel.
Well, and I wondered too, you talk about, many years ago in southern Minnesota, there didn't used to be a lot of soybeans planted. Have varieties changed at all to make that a little easier to grow?
Yeah, definitely. A lot more varieties. I think in the early days they planted more early hybrids. And now, at least on our farm, we try to stretch them. We're out to 2.3s to 2.5 in maturity, which is getting kind of late, but it works well for our farm.
Okay, and it's still a typical, like if I were a farmer in Missouri and I were to visit Minnesota, would I notice any difference in how I raise soybeans versus how you raise soybeans?
Maybe. I think southern states plant their soybeans a lot earlier, of course, and they may even plant their soybeans before corn. Very few people do that in our area. They worry about the corn and then plant the soybeans afterwards.
Thank you. How can the United Soybean Board help farmers meet the growing soybean demand?
Well, again, innovation in our checkoff is so important on what we're investing in, the new technologies. Like even my priority teams, they're looking at projects right now and can't really discuss them, but we'll be picking our 25 projects just in a couple of weeks, and then we'll vote on them in July.
And some of those are very innovative, it sounds like they might be.
Yeah, definitely. It's got people excited.
Well, thanks for joining me, Lawrence, and thank you all for joining me. I'm Kara Hart with Checkoff Chats, a content partnership with the United Soybean Board on Brownfield.